Okay, now I guess we should start with our meet. So, hello everyone. Myself, Deep Parasia from second year. We'll be starting with our first ever webinar on of HHSC SAKEC on networking. So, before starting, I would like to thank our HOD, Dr. Nilakshi Jain ma'am, and our college for letting us conducting the session. So, do you guys have any idea about networking? What networking is? Anyone of you? You can raise your hand, or do you have any queries? You can put that in a Q&A section. There is a dedicated Q&A section in the Meet, so you can put that. Or later we'll be answering all your queries. Okay, I guess no one of you have. So, networking is referred to as a computer group of computer network or devices that follow the similar communication protocol for the transfer of the data. So, let's say you have 10 devices connected to your network, and you want to communicate with one device to another. So you will be using a specific protocol for that communication. So that can be referred to as a networking within a devices. So moving further to our next topic, that is MAC address. So MAC stands for Media Access Control, which is a 48-bit address, which is hard coded into NIC, also known as a Network Interface Card. So NIC being 48-bit, every company has their own similar initial 24-bit, which is called as a OUIs. OUI also stand for organization unique identifier. So all the organization have their unique OUIs. So let's say a Cisco device as a the Cisco organization has a OUI starting with 00, 50, and 56. So the initial 24-bit of the Cisco devices, that all the Cisco devices will be similar. And the NIC, which is a network interface card, is embedded into your hardware. Let's say you have a laptop or a smartphone, or you have a Cisco adapter. So that NIC card will be embedded into the hardware of the motherboard chip. So the rest 24 bits are called the universal administered address that are unique for all the devices that you purchase. Let's say you and your friend have purchased a Cisco adapter. So initial 24-bit that is OUI will be similar, but the rest 24-bit will be a unique, so that that device can be uniquely identified across a network. So moving further to the type of network devices. So we'll be covering the four different type of network devices in our session. The first starting with the hub, then switch, then followed by router, and finally concluding with the bridge. So what is hub? So hub is a networking device that allows us to connect multiple devices such as your computer, laptop, mainly computers to the hub to connect into a network with the help of Ethernet cable. So, but the hub also comes with a disadvantage that let's say there are 10 computers connected in a network with the hub, and computer one wants to send data to the computer 5 on the network. So computer one will be sending that data to the hub, and hub will be transferring that data to all the computers present in the network. So disadvantage is that it's transferring that data to all the computers. So an attacker can join the network with the help of Ethernet cable and can transfer data to all other devices, all other computers present in that network. He can also transfer the malware or other ransomware, which can affect all the uh, devices present on the network. and followed by the hub. Uh, there's a switch. So switch comes with an uh, extra layer of security as compared to hub. So switch, what does the switch does is for transmitting the data is let's again take back that example only of 10 computers, and let's say computer 2 wants to send the data to computer 7. So the so initially computer 2 will be sending a request with the data to the switch, and switch will be requesting all the devices on that network with the asking their MAC addresses. So it will be matching the MAC addresses of all the devices that is present in the packet or the data provided by the device too. So with any of the device, the MAC address that is matched, so it will be transferring that packet to that specific computer only. So so here the data won't be transferred to each and every device present on the network, which overcomes the problem that was present in the hub. So moving further to our next network device, that is the router. So router can be connected to a multiple networks. So you can consider this as a web type. So let's say there are three routers, and these three routers are connected to uh, a switch and for the transfer of the data across the network. So you can also your device can be connected with the router, and router has a feature that you can connect multiple devices physically as well as the wirelessly. So physically you can connect devices with the help of Ethernet cable, while wirelessly you have a dongle embedded into your hardware. So routers also comes with an extra layer of security called WPA as well as WPA2, and recently WPA3 is also introduced. So because the reason for introducing the WPA3 was to overcome the security issues that were present in the WPA and WPA2. So these two layers of security were also getting hacked by the hackers with the help of a special type of dongle which has packet injection and monitor mode enabled. So hackers can also exploit this vulnerability and can connect to anyone's network and monitor their data transfer of the data. So moving further to fourth network device, which is bridge. So bridge is used to connect a large area networks. Let's say there is a building of Geo. Geo has a 10 buildings, and every building has like a 10 to 15 floors, and you have to connect each building with each other, or each floor each floor with each other. So you won't be like connecting with them with the help of wires, right? So that will be like very much hectic. So to overcome this, bridge is used. So all the floors or the buildings can be connected together into a network with the help of bridge. So bridge is very much helpful to connect the large networks together. So moving to the next topic, which is types of networks. So there are four types of networks such as PAN, LAN, MAN, and WAN. So let's debug them one by one. So first PAN. So PAN stands for private or personal area network. So you can understand it by it is like basically owned by an individual. Let's say you own a computer, laptop, tablet. So that are like uh, owned by you only, right? So that network can be called as a private or a personal area network, and it comes under PAN. So next comes is LAN. So LAN stands for local area network. Uh, LAN is a bit bigger as compared to PAN. It is mostly referred to as a network of single building or office network. So you can refer to it as a, let's say you own a company, right? You are owner of a company which has multiple offices. Let's say one office in Mumbai, then another is in uh, Thane, and another one is in Kalyan or Dombeli. So you have one office, right? Let's say you have one building, let's say Thane building. So you have to connect each and every, there will be thousands of computers in the building, like let's say you have a 10 floor, so you will be having like multiple devices, computers, modems, then switches in the building which will be connected within a network. So that network can be called as a local area network, which will be of a private entity. So further, moving to the next, which is MAN, Metropolitan Area Network. So MAN is larger as compared to LAN. So here also we can take the previous example. You have multiple offices with multiple buildings, and you want to connect that buildings within a same network. So to uh, connect that so that network connection can be considered as a metropolitan area network, and it comes under MAN. So moving further to the fourth, which is WAN. WAN stands for Wide Area Network. WAN spans around the globe, connecting the multiple MANs, LANs. It is generally used by large organizations and government agencies. So we can take example of that. Let's say one state of India has to be connected with the other states present within a network. So that whole network can be considered as comes under a wide area network WAN. Or you want to connect one country's network with the other country's network, so that can also be considered as a wide area network. You can consider these types of network as binary tree, which has one root node like WAN comes in the top, then comes the MAN one step down, like multiple states or districts network. Then again comes down to a LAN, which is like a separate building connected in a multiple network. And then lastly comes the PAN, which is your private individual network. So moving further to next topic, which is TCP versus UDP. So TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, whereas UDP stands for User Datagram Protocol. So TCP is TCP for establishing connection. In TCP. There is a specific method called a three-way handshake that is used to establish a connection in TCP. Whereas to establish connection in UDP, there is no such a specific method. You can directly connect the two any network with you can directly connect to any network with the help of UDP. So TCP is generally used in chatting or other data transfer methods, whereas UDP is generally used for streaming the media such as Netflix or YouTube videos. So talking about both the protocols reliability, TCP is more reliable as compared to UDP because you can seamlessly transfer the data across the network. Whereas in UDP, if there is anything buffer in between the network, or there is a loss of data within a network, you cannot get the output. Whereas in TCP, if any such thing happens, so the connection directly gets restarted. You need to establish a connection from the start with the help of three-way handshake. For that reason, the TCP comes with a disadvantage with that TCP is slower as compared to UDP. but TCP is a heavyweight. Because of that, TCP needs three packet to be sent to establish a connection, which is like we talked earlier about three-way handshake. So we'll be talking that for in further slides, what is three-way handshake and how that can be established. So TCP does error checking and also makes an error recovery. So I talked previously like if the connection is broken, so with the help of three-way handshake, the connection has to be again established. So it takes time and it's a feature you can say that the error recovery is present. Whereas in UDP there is no such error recovery present. Because of that, you might have seen buffering while streaming the YouTube or Netflix videos. The reason, the probably reason can be there would be a loss of data within a network, due to which the packets cannot be transferred to your device. So talking further, uh, TCP is used by many famous ports as well as protocols. Like talking about few of the famous ports and protocols are HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, FTP for the transfer of the data. So let's talk about a TCP handshake. So TCP is a transmission control protocol handshake. With a three-way handshake, a connection is established between a source and a destination. So you can consider browser as your source and server as a destination while explaining. Uh, so let's not talk about this theoretically. You can understand it with the help of this diagram. So let's say you are a client and you want to connect to a server. So initially in the first request, you will be sending a sync packet, which is synchronize. So client will be sending a synchronize request to the server, and server will be accepting that synchronize request, and after that he will be analyzing the request and will be sending back the SYN-ACK packet, which is synchronized plus acknowledgement packet set within a bit to the client. So client after receiving the SYN-ACK packet in the second step, so client will be getting to know that yes, the server is ready to establish a connection. Now we can establish a connection. So he will be sending the third packet, which will be an acknowledgement packet to the server. So after that, a proper connection will be established between the client and the server, and the transfer of the data can be done after the three-way handshake. So, so this three-way handshake is only possible for the TCP protocols. It is not, there is no protocol for UDP. For UDP, you can transfer the data anyway, uh, like directly connecting the source and the destination. There is no such a TCP, the three-way or two-way handshake. So let's say you are done transferring the data, right? And now you want to terminate the connection. So for terminating the connection, again the client will be sending the packet to the server with a fin flag. So fin stands for finish. Now the client is telling the server that I want to finish connection with you. We have talked enough. I want to go home. So we'll be sending a fin flag within a packet, and server will be analyzing that, and we will be sending a fin ACK, which will be again a finish plus acknowledgement of flag to the client. So after receiving it to the client, client will be analyzing that FINAC packet and will be sending that back to the server with an acknowledgement. So it's like let's say you went to a shop, uh, told you told the shopkeeper that I want these things. So that will be like an SIM packet. Then shopkeeper will be telling that yes, I have this all things present in my shop. So that will be like a SIM ad packet. And then then you will be telling the shopkeeper that yes, give me all these things. So that will be like an acknowledgement flag. So this was for establishing the connection, and you can further relate it with terminating the connection also. So moving further to the common ports and protocols. So in this, there are two type of protocols that we discussed earlier, that are TCP and UDP. So both have their own functionalities. TCP is used for the transfer of data like chatting websites or login forms that you see, that runs on Apache server, which runs on port 80, which is an HTTP again. So that comes under a TCP connection, whereas UDP is used for uh, streaming again. So talking about a few ports, common ports. So first, SSH, which runs on port 22 and which stands for Secure Shell. So there was earlier an Telnet port. Telnet runs on port 23. So both have the similar function, but the difference is that Telnet transfers the data in clear text format, whereas SSH comes with an security that it do not transfer the data in clear text format. It encoded into an hard strings so that no one can uh, read that data which is transferred. So in earlier, when the HTTPS was not introduced, before that the telnet was used. So in telnet, attacker can do the a man in the middle attack and can read the data between the client and the server. So later, as the website used to be developed dynamically, when there were login forms and other functionalities that were introduced, then HTTPS, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, was introduced. So at that time, need for SSH was also there. So SSH was also later introduced and given the default port as 22. So moving further to another protocols, which are SMTP, POP3, and IMAP. So this all the three ports are used for the transfer of this. All three are mail protocols which are used for the transfer of the mails across the network. But these are like very rarely used. But still, these are important for us to cover. So moving further to the SMB port, uh, SMB runs on port 139 and 445. So earlier it used to be run on only 139, but later by Windows it was it used to be it used the 445 also. So it is also used for the data transfer of the files across the system. So Samba, it is also SMB is also known as Samba, if you don't know. It also had a very famous exploit in the past named as WannaCry or Eternal Blue, which was initially found by NSA agency, which is a national security agency of US government. They didn't made this public. Instead, they used to exploit multiple Windows devices with the help of this exploit, and used to like steal the data of the users and the citizens across the globe. But later it was made public by NSA itself, and Windows fixed that exploit in the later versions and was secured also. There is a, if you want to practice this version, there is a dedicated room in the Try Me. You can definitely check out that named as Eternal Blue. Uh, you can also check that by playing. You will be getting an idea how that was exploited, how you can find that find the port 139445. So in the further sessions also, we'll be covering that, how you can do that things also when we'll be doing everything practically. Okay, so moving further to the next port, which is DHCP. So DHCP is a UDP port and it runs on port number 67 and 68. So DHCP is used to assign the IP address to the computers. So when let's say whenever you connect to a network or router with the help of your mobile or laptop, a DHCP port is used to assign you a router's IP address, which starts with 192.168. So this initial 16 bits are remain constant and the later 16 bits are flipped. So DHCP assign the IP address statically as well as dynamically. So talking about dynamically, the IP address changes whenever you switch your device within a network. So initial bits would be remaining the same, but the later bit would be changing. So and in uh, static, the IP address would be remain constant. So let's say you go to your friend and your friend has a router set up in his home, right? So you connect to your friend's router and your router analyzes your MAC address as well as your IP address and records it in his logs. So it will be assigning an static IP address to you by identifying your device MAC address. So MAC address is a physical address that we learned in past, right? So it will be saving your device MAC address. So later, whenever you connect to that router, it will be checking that IP address. So if that IP address will be present in his log, then then he will be assigning that IP address that it assigned you, it assigned your device previously. So DHCP is used for assigning the IP address. So moving further to ping. So ping is a command line utility which is used to check whether the host is up or not. Uh, you can use this by simply writing a ping command followed by the IP address that you want to check for, and it will be ping. So what will be the background will be like your device will be sending a packets to the server, and if the server will be up, then you will be replying to that server and you will be getting the response back. And you will be knowing that yes, the server that you assigned is working properly. So we'll be doing this, we'll be checking out this ping command practically today in today's session. So moving further to the traceroute. Traceroute is also a command line utility which is used to track the packets, track the IP addresses from where the packets are transferred. So let's say you are talking to you want to connect to a Google server, right? So you will what you will be doing is you will be typing the google.com in your browser, and you will be getting a connection established between your mobile, your device and Google. So what in background happens is your request to the Google server goes through multiple IP addresses, which is also known as a proxy. These proxies are used by the Google server for the security reasons, so that backend server's IP address is not leaked and cannot be hacked easily. So with the help of a traceroute, you can track the IP address of the packets that are transferred within a network. And finally, Nmap. Nmap is one of the powerful tool, and it stands for a network mapper. It's a free and open source tool used for the network discovery and the security auditing. So it's generally used in pen test, uh, or this is like a highly used tool when you will be giving any certification in the future, like CEH or EJPT, or preparing for advanced certification like OSCP. So when you all will be solving that challenges for practice, so will be assigned an IP address only. So with that IP address, you need to hack into the machine. So the initial step would be the network discovery, like how many ports are open, what services are running on that ports, and like that stuff. So Nmap help you in that thing. So now I guess we should switch to practical.
Guys, I hope you have understood this session until now. So you can please react with the emojis out there so we can, have a kind of conversation.
You can like react, or you can raise hand if you understand till now.
And you can just, pin down your questions in the chat box so that we can address it right now. Because after the practical session that Deep will be showing, we can continue, asking your question answers or doubts that you have.
So I guess now I should start with the practical, right?
Yeah, Deep, you can go ahead.
So the operating system that I will be using is a Kali Linux, and there is also an Ubuntu server running side by side, which has port 80, port 21, which is FTP, which stands for File Transfer Protocol, and another port 22, which is SSH, that we talked in the past, are open. So now let's discover them. So first, before discovering them, let's do a practical about ping command. So you can use that by ping, then the IP address that you want to scan. So the Google IP address is 4 times 8. So let's test that only. So you can see that we are receiving a ping back response. So which tells us that yes, that machine is running, and you can cancel it by Control C. And you can read here that 14 packets were transmitted, out of which 14 were received. Means we got all the response from the server back, and there was a 0% packet loss. Means the server is running. So next was a trace route, right? Trace route. Then let's test again the Google's IP address. So trace route would take a bit of time to check the path of the packet that is transferred. Okay, so it has completed. So you might wonder that why there are stars only. So this is because Google has applied a layer of security which do not disclose the IP address of the proxies also. So it's very much difficult for an attacker to attack the machine. But you can use this technique while pen testing the other networks. You will definitely be ending up getting the results or the IP address. I am telling from my experience that I have also got the IP addresses of the other devices. So you will be also getting the IP addresses. So let's delete the terminal. And so before running the nmap, let's check the help menu. What other flags are there? So syntax for the nmap would be nmap, then followed by the flags. So what are flags? Flags are like little small string which tells the nmap what you want to do. So let's say there is a flag a dash il, right? So what il will be doing is it will be taking a input from the file that you supplied, which contains multiple IP addresses of the hosts, or you can also give the DNS name, domain name system. So this DNS, Wireshark, and IP addresses, this all will be covered in the upcoming sessions of the networking. So stay tuned for them also. We won't be cover everything in a single webinar. So okay, let's move further to other flags that are important. So dash SL stands for list scan. So it will be listing the all the targets that are present in the network. So for that, you need to only supply a dash SL flag followed by the single IP address, and it will be listing all the flags. It will be listing all the target IP addresses that will be present in that network. Then SN flag is a ping scan that we did earlier. Then dash PN flag is also one of the important flag that you need to put. What it does is it skips the host discovery. So by default, Nmap what does is when starting the Nmap, it does the host discovery. It starts the host discovery. So in host discovery, it will be sending an packet uh, to discover which host is running on that specific IP address or server. So sometimes the servers are configured to drop these packets. So Nmap won't be knowing which type of host is present in that IP address. So dash PN flag skips the host discovery and it will be treating all the host as online. So sometimes that host tricks the Nmap and tries that he is offline. So dash PN flag is used to overcome that thing. Then talking about the scan techniques, there are multiple scan techniques that you can use. If you while solve, let's say you are practicing for a certification exam such as EGAPT or OSCP and you found a flag and you are doing an Nmap scan, but you didn't found any open ports like 22, 21 or 80. So you can use a dash SU flag which starts the UDP scan. So what it will be doing is it will be scanning the all the UDP ports. So there are like many a time chances that services might be running on the UDP ports also instead of TCP. So you can use that also if you don't find any kind of any result on the TCP ports. Then service version detection. So dash SV flag is used for enumerating the services that are running on the specific ports. Let's say there is a port 80 open, but you don't know which service is running on that port 80. So dash SV flag will be enumerating the service as well as it will be collecting the version also of that service. So further you can do is like you can find the exploit uh, of that version if that version is outdated and hasn't been updated by the organization or the company that you are pen testing. So if the version is of lower and has any kind of vulnerability like SQL injection or remote code execution, any such vulnerability, so you can exploit that vulnerability by just getting the service version. So further is a script scan. So dash SC flag is used for starting the script scan. So Nmap by default comes with an multiple scripts which has it every script has their own work default. So by assigning a dash sc flag, nmap will be starting the default scripts only. It won't be starting that specific scripts. That for scripts, you need to check out is script help menu. There are like multiple scripts with the description given, or you can simply Google about the scripts also. So these scripts are written in a Lua language. And talking about the dash O flag, it enables the OS detection. So let's say you want to know the which OS operating system is running on the IP address like Linux or Windows or Mac OS. So you can put the dash O flag and can start and Nmap will be giving you the OS enabling the OS detection for you. And for output, you can use dash OA or dash ON for normal output, or you can simply pipe that output into a TXT file also. So here is one of the important flag that you must be aware of, which is dash A flag. So dash A flag is used for aggressive scan. So it will be scanning that IP address or that host aggressively. Like by enabling this and putting just the dash A flag, it will be scanning for the OS detection, then version detection. It will be running the script scan, then it will be also doing trace route like all the functionalities that you can do manually with the help of Nmap. So dash A flag will be doing all at once. But it also comes with an disadvantage that it creates a lot of traffic on the server. So your IP can be easily identified into the log, and if there is like any popular CMS configured running on the server, so it can like Cloudflare, so it can block your IP address also. So it is like rarely recommended to use the dash A flag. Okay, so now we should, I guess, do the practical of Nmap. So to know the IP address of the Ubuntu server that we are running, we can simply do is we can scan our own host only. As we are in the virtual environment, I am using the VMware Workstation 16. So we are in a virtual environment, right? So we can scan our subnet only and can find the IP address. So for scanning that subnet, we'll be also doing a service version, Jubilee dash SV. We'll be also doing aggressive scan. Then let's check my IP address. So you can check it by ifconfig if you are into a Linux machine, or if you are using a Windows OS, then you can simply do is you can replace ifconfig with ipconfig. You have to just replace F with P and you will be getting the data. So you can check out the ETH0. So my IP address is 192.168.60 and 129. So I'll be pasting that here and we'll be giving the subnet 24. So if you don't know about what subnetting is, we'll be covering the subnetting in our upcoming networking section also. So how the hosts are assigned to the specific subnet, how many hosts are present in a single subnet. So you'll be also getting to learn about that also. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so we have got the Nmap result. So the first IP that Nmap has scanned is our Kali machine only. And You also get the IP address of the Ubuntu machine. So this is the output data is of Ubuntu machine. So let's analyze it. So this is the IP address that Nmap has got. That Nmap has discovered of the Ubuntu, which is 92, 168.60 and 128. So it says the host is up running. So there are 996 filtered top ports. So initially by default, Nmap scans for the top 1000 ports only. And let's say you want to scan all the ports with the help of Nmap. So let me tell you, there are in total 65,535 ports on the internet. So if you want to scan all of them, then you can do is nmap dash p dash. So this flag is dash p dash flag is used to scan all the ports present on that machine or the host that you are scanning. And let's say you have to scan a single port of 80, then you can do is like remove the dash and simply type 80, and you have to scan 2 to 3 ports like port 80, then 443. So you can just put comma and assign the ports followed by the IP address. So it will be scanning that specific ports only. So let's analyze the output of the Ubuntu machine that we have got. So first here is the list of ports. Then here is the state, whether they are open, filtered or closed. Here we'll be getting is the services, and here will be the version of the services that are running on that machine. So first it has got the port 20 is open, and it also says that it is a TCP port. So yes, so as we discussed in the past, FTP runs on port 21, and port 20 and 21 both are required actually for running the FTP. So FTP is a TCP port and the service that is running is FTP. Then version that is running is VSFTP, FTP, then 3.0.5. So here is also a bit more information. It is a secure, fast and stable. So further it says that FTP has an anonymous login allowed. So for accessing that port, you can simply do is type FTP and then followed by the IP address. Was IP 120. So you can connect with the FTP port like this. So name will be anonymous. And yes, you are into the system. It says the login is successful. Okay, let's cancel this and analyze the other output. Later it tells us that port 22 is open, and the service that is running on port 22 is SSH, which is a secure shell, and the version is OpenSSH 8.9, and also tells us that it is running on Ubuntu. And here is the ECDSA key, which is a RSA 256 key. And another thing running is open is port 80 is open, which runs a TCP port, which is a TCP port, and the state is open as well. And the service that is running is HTTP, and the version is Apache. Apache server is running on the port 80 with this version 2.4.52. So let's say you found a TCP port or any other port like Samba port, you can say, because Samba has an exploit that we in talked about earlier, which is Eternal Blue or WannaCry. So you can check the version and check for the exploit also, and you can get a reverse shell out of that. So here it also says that on port 80, there is an Apache server running, then robots.txt file is present, then asphalt.html. So let's check, is it really present? The IP address. Let's copy it Control Shift C, then open the browser, and let's put the IP. And yes, so the IP is up, and by default it is running the Apache 2 web server. So it the nmaps scan told us that it is running robots.txt, right? So let's try to put it. Okay, so you can see that there is some sort of content present in it. So that's how you can discover the other things also. So yes, this was all about today's session. Hope you all would have understood something out of this session. So if you have any doubts or anything that you can ask, or you can ask that in personal chat also, or you can drop it in Q&A.
So guys, if you have any questions, you can ask Deep right now. It could be any basic questions you guys might be having.
Okay, so if you don't have any question, then we can end this session. Sorry for disturbing your Sunday. You guys can leave now. The session is
Guys,
ended.
before leaving, please fill the feedback form that we'll be forwarding. It's in the chat section. We'll also be posting it in the WhatsApp groups.
And guys, I also have one announcement that I'll be also be starting an opening for the technical team. So those who want to join the technical team and want to work with me, they can fill up the form also, and we'll have a short interview type just to know you guys, how much you know and all. So then further will be joining me if you want to, and anyone can join from first year, second year, third year.
So yes, thank you guys for joining in, and we really hope that you liked this session. Furthermore, we have just started, so in case you guys found some difficulties during the session, it wasn't that engaging, we'll be having more sessions offline. That would definitely help all of us in getting you guys know better and solving your doubts and helping you all with whatever problems you're facing. We might have sessions in the labs that have been currently built, the COE and the cyber labs that we have. So yes, looking forward for it. And thank you for attending. You guys can leave now. Thank you.